Hey YouTube, so the top 50 hit 10 likes, and as promised, here is some commentary. Brockhampton with the family. It's not their best, but I thought it was alright. 49, Back to Life, same thing here. It's not Thai Boy's best, but it is still pretty decent. 48, Young KO, down for the count. Very excited to see where he goes next in the whole like rage or trap lane. I think he's one of the most promising talents. Same can be said about Red Veil, although more in the traditional hardcore hip hop department. He's only 18, with this being his third album, and it's pretty great stuff, pretty exciting. 46, Kid Cudi, Intergalactic. Yeah, I know it's a soundtrack for a show, but as its own standalone album, it's still pretty good. 45, Baby Keem, The Melodic Blue Deluxe. I chose this because in my top 2021 video, I didn't address The Melodic Blue because I hadn't heard it until like February of 2022, so I couldn't place it in the video. But so this was me kind of redeeming myself on that front and putting it in here because he did drop a deluxe with like 9-10 songs. 44, Rina Sawayama, Hold the Girl. Very solid, but not Sawayama's best, although there were some pretty fun tracks on here. 43, Drake and 21 Savage, Her Loss. I thought it was fun. It was alright. It's not Honestly Nevermind bad or Certified Lover Boy bad, because I didn't like either of those albums. Joey with 2000, I liked it. There were some really fun songs on here like Zip Codes and the track with Westside Gun. Drill Music and Zion. Lupe has a lot to say here, and it's pretty thought-provoking actually. Miss Mural is one of my favorite songs off here too. Number 40 was Gais Guevara with There Will Be No Super Slave. Very catchy sampling on here and very thought-provoking lyrics. 39, Black Country New Road, Ants From Up There. Now, a lot of people are going to get at me for placing it this low, but I really wanted to like this more, but in the end, it was just a solid album that I didn't really revisit too much, although I do respect it. 38, Wise Blood, and In the Darkness Hearts Aglow. This one is the same situation as the Black Country album, and while the production is very enchanting and mesmerizing most of the time, didn't really revisit it that much other than the single tracks. 37, Björk Fossora. Now this one I did revisit and come back to a lot more than the last two, and while it isn't as consistent, I thought it was a lot more fun and ambitious, in my opinion. 36, Kenny Beats with Louis. Solid beat tape, and I love beat tapes. Donuts by J Dilla is one of my favorite albums of all time. So, of course, naturally, I was gonna get hooked on this album, which I did. I love it. 35, Lancey Foe, Life in Hell. I think this might be his best album yet. It tries a lot of new things and it really pays off. Number 34 is Freddie Gibbs with Soul Sold Separately. I do like the minimal production style that Freddie chooses to have consistently through. Number 33, Black Midi with Hellfire. I wish I enjoyed this more, but while I do enjoy the concept and production, I just don't enjoy it like personally. I don't come back to it too much. 32, Cities of Eve, Man Plays the Horn. I really love some of the songs on here, but the problem I have with this is that it's way too long. 31, Spider by Blade. Yeah, it's just more of the same, more spiritual raps, and yeah, I recommend it. 30 is Beach House Once Twice Melody. Very dreamy, very consistent vibes. 29, Westside Gun with 10. Good end to the series, and yeah, a lot of songs here that I come back to often. 28 is Death's Dynamic Shroud Dark Life. I did react to this album. Pretty mind-blowing stuff. Not as good as I initially... Not as good as I initially... I said it again. Not as good as I initially thought it was. I don't know. It didn't have that much staying power with me. 27, Billy Woods with Church. This is Billy Woods' second album of the year, and although there are a couple of tracks on here I tend to skip, there are a couple like Puerto Rico that I really love. Number 26, SZA's SOS. I did like this album, but it was a bit too long, same as the Cities of Eve album. 25 is Black Star with No Fear of Time. Mos Def and Talib Kweli coming through again after a 20-year hiatus. 20 plus years, killing it over some Madlib production, and you know how much I love Madlib's production. 24, Wyland with Vices, rapper turned pop star. Like, it's very good pop too. It is his first foray into this genre, but it's still really well done. Number 23 is Metro Boomin with Heroes and Villains, another great project added to his catalog, and a lot of good guest features on here. 22 is Earl Sweatshirt with Sick. I didn't like this as much as some rap songs. It didn't feel like it fulfilled the brevity it was going for. There were some great songs on here still. 21 is Dummy and JD Beck with Not Tight. They're really talented musicians. I'm not much of a jazz guy, but this record in particular was very interesting. And cool to see some features like Snoop and Anderson and Busta Rhymes on here as well. Also, shout outs to Zach for introducing me to Dummy and JD Beck. I haven't heard of them before he recommended the album, so big shout out. Number 20 is Mike with Beware of the Monkey. This is my favorite Mike album. I wanted to put his last album on the 2021 list, but again, I was too late. I listened to it like a month after I made that video. This is a great album. I think every single beat on here is a catchy earworm of some sort. If you're into rappers like Mavi or Earl Sweatshirt, I think you'd like Mike as well. 19 is Logic with Final Days, a very nice love letter to rap as a whole, from the Wu-Tang Clan to J Dilla, a whole song dedicated just to Madlib, which for a Madlib fan like me, like, that's a lot of fun. Also getting guest features from Earl Sweatshirt and Anthony Fantano for just some spoken skits. It's pretty fun stuff too. 18, Smino, Love for Rent, a very beautiful, warm album. Smino just knows how to connect to the listener and just deliver such a smooth sound over such smooth production. Also, shoutouts to my main man Bruce for introducing this album to me. I'm really glad you did because I really clicked with it and really love it still. So thank you, Bruce. Number 17 is Tom York and the Gang forming the Smile Group, A Light for Attracting Attention, as their debut album as a trio. This is the best rock album of the year in my opinion. It's probably an unpopular opinion since you have Hellfire and Ants from Up There, but this for me did a lot more. Steve Lacy, Gemini writes, Steve really comes into his own on this album. Commercial and critical success. Bad Habit was number 1 on the Billboard charts. FKA Twigs coming in at number 15 with Capri Songs. Very good album all the way through. It's a nice little victory lap for Twigs, knowing her past history of more melancholic and introspective albums. While this also has introspective elements, this is a lot more upbeat and fun this time around. Number 14, Quadeca appearing through this hole with I Didn't Mean to Haunt You. Very interesting concept album. He's rapping sort of from the afterlife, I believe, on this album. It's kind of like a point of view there. I don't think anyone's tried anything like this. And he's very young too, so he has a lot of time to further develop his artistic style, even though already it's pretty amazing. 13 is Little SIMZ with No Thank You. Yep, another great one to the catalog, like Little SIMZ can't miss. Always gracing very relatable topics and doing it very well over very good production. Although I would have put this one higher if the back end of the album was a bit more consistent, because the first 7 songs are all great, but then the last 3 sort of drop off in quality pretty noticeably. 12 is Blade and Echo 2K with Crest. First time I heard Blade, I really didn't like his music, but lately him and Echo 2K have really been improving their sound, and just this is just such a pretty album. Pretty angelic vocals and pretty otherworldly production from White Armor. 11 is The Weeknd with Donna Femme, one of the best pop albums of the year. There are a lot of hits on here, and After Hours is a crazy high bar to set, and this is pretty close to that album in my opinion. You've got Out of Time, you've got Is There Someone Else, you've got How Do I Make You Love Me, Less Than Zero, Sacrifice, all great songs. And yeah, vocal wise, he's unmatched. 10 is Rosalia with Motomami, very powerful album from beginning to end. 9 is Pusha T with It's Almost Dry. Didn't like it as much as Daytona, but I did find it very enjoyable, especially the first half. 8 is Beyonce with Renaissance, the best pop album of the year. It's just such a complete experience from beginning to end. Beyonce at the top of her game. It's very fun stuff. But if you're going to play it around the fam, you best keep the clean version on. 7, Conway the Machine, God Don't Make Mistakes. Before 2022, I was sort of sleeping on Griselda, not really paying much mind, but now that I've listened to their new stuff, like Benny, Westside, and Conway, all great rappers, and Conway for me takes the crown as the best of the bunch this year with this album. Not only is the first half some of the grittiest rap I've ever heard, but this album, in a way, like from the first half, it turns from an 8 out of 10 album to like a 9 out of 10. Like this is one of those rare cases where the second half is actually better than the first. He's gone through a lot of trials and tribulations, and he's here now talking about it, and in a really harrowing way, especially with the song Stress, like one of the best rap songs in the last couple years. Not to mention the amazing production by Alchemist and Derringer and etc. It turns from solid to special. That's really why I put it this high. Nas coming in at number 6 with King's Disease 3, his best album since Elmatic in my opinion. It's so good. just all the way through. Nas is just rapping like crazy. He's such a seasoned veteran at this point, being in the rap game for 30 years. That's no exaggeration. There's just so much to like about this album, from the beats that Hit Boy offers, which are all great, the rapping that Nas offers, which is all great. Amazing album. The best from the trilogy and the best Nas has put out since probably Illmatic. Number 5 is Black Thought and Danger Mouse with Cheat Codes. Black Thought, one of the greatest lyricists there is right now, it has to be said. 4 is Denzel Curry with Melt My Eyes, See Your Future. Denzel at the top of his pen game and delivery and just everything. He's the complete package, really. With songs like Troubles and X-Wing, he's really trying to be as versatile as possible, try new things. And yeah, he's one to watch for sure, because he's still working on a new album, like just after dropping this one. In at 3, we have Kendrick Lamar with Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. It's been 1,855 days. I didn't count, Kendrick did. It's a really personal tale. It's a real redemption story. It's not quite a To Pimp a Butterfly or a Good Kid, Mad City, but it is very worthy of being in Kendrick's discog. Plus, a lot of great features on here. Baby Keem, Sampha, some Alchemist production here, a Ghostface Killah feature there. He's really set it up like a theater play as well, with some tap dancing all hidden throughout. And it's a very cohesive narrative and cohesive album experience. So yeah, 100% recommended if you're into Kendrick or rap in general. Now, we have 2 albums left. Number 2, Billy Woods with Ethiops. I put this over Kendrick's album because 1, I believe the production is a little more consistent thanks to Preservation, which I haven't heard of before this album, but hearing this album, he's really set a high bar, because the production on this album is so desolate, so dusty. It's like I'm transported 1,000 years into the past and people are making beats there for some reason. It really just sounds like the cover, like the Rembrandt painting, because not only is Preservation, the producer, on his A game here, Billy Woods is here to say a lot about modern society and just a lot of topics, a lot of thought-provoking things he says. He's a true wordsmith, a true poet, and his delivery is a lot like spoken word poetry, which might rub some people the wrong way, but not me, because I really love what he has to say here. Some very memorable, quotable lines all over this thing. Definitely give this a chance if you haven't. And now, what could be number 1? That, my friends, is The Forever Story by JID, number 1 best album of 2022. Now, why is it better than the Billy Woods and Kendrick Lamar? Well, this is even more complete than those albums, even more consistent with production, even more consistent with rapping, wordplay, flows, delivery. JID is just the complete package. As I've said that like 5-10 times by now about different rappers, but he's also put in some of his best singing into this album, like on the songs Cody Blue 31 and Better Days. The production by the likes of Christo is just amazing too. Monte Booker as well, shout out to Monte. Some great features here too from the likes of Yasin Bey or Lil Wayne. JID has a lot to talk about from his past experiences, and very charismatic MC, and just the best album of 2022 in my opinion. So yeah, those were my picks. Let me know yours in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one. Onwards and upwards.